Hey everyone, welcome to the Permission to Play podcast, a creative talk podcast where you have permission to be creative and to experience everything that comes along with the process. We are your hosts, myself, Christina Barcy. We have Kyle Dallatorre and Yelpy, and of course Lloyd Robeson. Let's get started. Welcome to the Permission to Play podcast. I'm Christina Barcy. I'm here with my friends.
What's
up, guys?
Sup? Hey.
Hi.
Hey. This is LLOY to the D.
Get it?
Yeah.
Oh, I already got it.
Anybody else?
Not touching that.
I'm Y to the Y, I guess.
Right.
I to the P.
Well, Y to the P, Y, I guess.
Kyle's kick a K to the
Y
E.
to the P.
K to the E to the No.
Yes.
No.
We all tried.
Welcome.
So here's something that occurs in art, in creativity, and lots of other areas as well. So this may apply to more than just creative people. But the question is, how do you deal with criticism and praise? So when you're putting stuff out there, for people to have an opinion. And that can either be, critical, or it can be praise. Anyone got a feeling about this right off the bat?
I think right off the bat, what I'm personally shooting for as an artist is to be right in the center, where it's like you're right in the middle, where it's like you don't hear either side of it. You hear constructive things that you can maybe improve yourself next time, or things that are working, and I think that's where it's beneficial. But for the other, just glorification of either side, I feel like it's detrimental both ways.
I think if you're not receiving either, you're doing something wrong. Right? If you're not receiving either, then people are lying to you, and something's wrong.
Yeah, something's wrong, or you're not stirring the pot enough.
I was just gonna, I guess what I wanted to talk about was, dealing with him. It's as artists, we receive them constantly, especially if you are, like you guys are saying, if you are doing something right, which is progressing, you're going to receive that. If you are stagnant, you won't receive anything, which means that you have to move forward. And so as an artist, if you are an artist moving forward, the thing you have to realize is that gratitude will lead you through, ingratiate yourself to the praises and the criticisms, because all they're there for are to move you forward and keep you moving forward. And they don't necessarily mean anything if you don't believe in yourself, if you aren't focused on being better every day. Now, I recently had to deal with this, not recently, but in my past. Criticism was easy for me. It was the easiest. I'd be like, cool. Because I knew either criticism came from a place of jealousy, or it came from a place of I want to make you better. And it's easy to understand the difference between those two. But praise, for me, was a very difficult thing to accept and to understand how to deal with it. And the way I guess I've transitioned from that is gratitude and understanding that praise comes from a place that of love, of appreciation, and you can't take it too heavily and you can't take it too lightly. You have to be able to say thank you and not feel like you have to give something back to that person because they were giving you a gift of gratitude. And that was always my thing, is like somebody's like, "Oh, that was a great show. You were amazing." Oh, no, my automatic response was, "Oh, thank you. You were too." Wait, what?
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
Wait, what? And it was just because I felt like I had to give something back, as opposed to just saying thank you and being in that awkwardness that was inside me, because I felt awkward. I didn't know how to accept it. And I've learned to just say thank you and receive without automatically having to feel like you have to give something back.
I'm still really bad at that.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, I've practiced on it. It's tough.
It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing that works or helps me through that too is just usually like thinking of a performance, for example, where you can actually speak to someone who's going to give you praise and saying that, thank you so much for coming. Like truly, like if there's no audience, you can't, it's like talking to air, like you're doing it for just you, which is, that happens. Sometimes no one comes. So it really is like, thank you for saying that. Thank you for, and I do say like, thank you for saying that, because they don't have to say anything. You can just walk away and wonder. So, and you're right, it comes from a place of gratitude, Lloyd, because I struggled through my 20s with not really knowing how to receive things either. And I think once I flipped that around and realized that it's a gracious thing for people to offer, so it's in me recognizing that it's like, yeah, thank you for saying that. Thank you for coming. Thank you for participating by voicing what you think. And even if it's not always nice, sometimes I still say thank you. Okay, cool. Thank you. With the criticism too. Also,
you just say with the fucking middle finger up, thank you, motherfucker.
Not always, because I think criticism comes from a place of expectation. The person had a certain idea of what they thought they were going to get. And sometimes that's not what I was offering. And there was just a miscommunication somehow, either in like the title or the marketing, or maybe I didn't set it up right where people really understood what they were going to receive. And so there's a certain expectation that, and it's like really knowing that, being aware of that, because it can help you weed through the criticisms that don't matter, because you're like, well, that's just obviously a miscommunication, or this is that, this is this. And like, it helps me through that sort of evaluation process, I guess. I recently got actual evaluations back from the class I taught, and I was really nervous in reading it because it was my first time, and I was teaching teachers, and I was really nervous about that. And there were people that had some criticisms, and mainly those had to do with the expectation level of what they thought they were going to get and what it was set up as versus what it ended up being, because there wasn't a lot of communication between me and like the person who had the idea for the class for me. So it was like, we didn't really talk about what I would be doing and what I could be doing with them versus what they were hoping I could do for them. Like there was just some stuff there, and it's sad a little bit, because it does make me feel like, like that's a missed opportunity. So there's so many variances, I think, between how criticism comes through. What is it critical? Is it constructive? If it is, then like, yeah, sometimes we sign up for that as artists. Like, we're in a stage where we need that constructive criticism because we want to keep pushing forward, and it doesn't mean it's like necessarily easy all the time to receive that either. But it's also a red flag when you go in for that and you don't get any criticism, and then you're like, why are you blowing smoke up my ass? Like, what is the point of that?
Yeah.
And that's hard to understand or receive as well.
Yeah.
Is anyone?
I think just off what you were saying, I think the the most important thing about criticism and what was the other thing? Criticism and
Constructive
Praise.
criticism?
yeah,
Praise.
praise and criticism, right? So when somebody says something bad, when somebody says something good, it's really valuable to you if you already know yourself and are comfortable with what you're doing. And that's really hard. I mean, it's really hard to get to a place in whatever you're doing, say music, to where you kind of know yourself pretty well and you know what you were going for and you know the bad things about what you just did and the good things already. And then when you hear criticism, you can easily go, oh, that's just a person that just isn't their thing. So that's why they don't like it. So you can push that aside. Or when you get people saying something good and you know they're just saying something good because they want to say something good. It's not actually helping you in any way. But when you know yourself and you hear those little things, you those key things that you can pick out and go, oh wow, yeah, no, I was wondering about that. Whether it's good or bad, to me it's exactly the same thing, good and bad. When I hear those things, I just go, yeah. And then when somebody says, something good, and you go, oh, I was hoping somebody would notice that, or yeah, I'm on the right track with that. I think it's really important. I think the best thing about getting those two things is when you're comfortable with yourself, they're really advantageous for you. But in saying all that, I have no problems with dealing with bad feedback, but I still really have problems dealing with when people say good things to me. And it's not that I don't, like, I can totally hear what they're saying and agree or disagree in my head. But my biggest problem is what to say back to them, how to react to that. It's not that I can't accept it. I just don't know what my response is supposed to be, because in Ireland, people do it differently. They're not, it's a weird, but when people say something nice in Ireland, it's almost, they say it in an odd kind of slightly nice way instead of when people here say it, they're full on nice, and I don't know how to, Jesus, I don't know how to react to you being that nice. Anyway, so that's a different thing to me. Still struggling with that.
That's interesting. I guess you just say thank you.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's it.
I don't know how to.
That's what I learned to
like
do, man.
Lloyd was saying, I feel
I
like
just
I
say
should
thank
be.
you.
Well, like Lloyd was saying, I always feel like I should be saying something good to them too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like I mean I'm with you guys. But a friend actually brought it up for like they and I did the usual thing of like, oh no, but you were great in coming here, or like just some bullshit like I don't really like this, doesn't make any sense, but I feel the need. And he was like, no, I put that compliment out there for you just now. If you give me a compliment back, it's not going to seem as genuine. So like, let me just have the gift of being genuine to you. And I was like, oh shit, I'm the asshole. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I love thank you for coming, because that's another huge component of really, like, Christina, you're right. Like, they took the time to get there. Like, they sat in the seat. Like, they they had an experience with you, right? And it's like, and I love the thing that you said, Lloyd, about being grateful. It's like, that's what, if somebody gives you a compliment, it's like, wow, you were in this with me. Thank you. Like, that's awesome. I think that's what we all love, is to feel like, oh, this connected with you in some way, shape, or form. So it's
what I'll say about that though? Just sorry to cut.
No, you're good.
So if you were to do that, from where I'm from in Ireland, if you were literally just to say thank you when somebody complimented you, it actually comes across as slightly insulting. And that's a cultural thing. So that's not enough in Ireland. Like, to say thank you, it's a weird thing. If somebody complimented me after a gig in Ireland, all went, thanks, they'd be like, that's it.
What do you say in Ireland? What do you say?
It's a tough one. I don't really know the answer. I mean, I think what I used to do is, and I still kind of do it sometimes here, is you would accept the compliment, then you would say something like, you would maybe highlight something that wasn't so good in your performance and just kind of go, oh yeah, but there was that one thing, and they go, oh no, don't worry about it, and then we carry on.
Yeah.
So they know you've accepted their compliment, but they also know that you don't think you're amazing. But, you know, because there's this big perception in Ireland, oh, you don't think you're better than me. It's a weird thing, and it's a very careful thing you have to be very careful around. And that's why you never see, like, for example, if you've got a lot of money, you'll never see people flaunting their money in Ireland. You never see people like buying an expensive car, or rarely you will see that kind of a thing, because it's not okay to do that. In our culture, it's just not okay. It's just weird. And yeah, so I don't.
Yeah, that I can see where that's hard to break if you come from a perception of like people thinking that they're if people think that they have more and thinking they have more of something, that's just like the worst thing ever. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a weird thing. It's a very weird thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be tough.
Mm-hmm.
I had another thought. No, I'm forgetting what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. Another thing I've run into is when I'm overly uncomfortable about someone's compliment. Like if I don't take them seriously, it's almost like an insult to them because they're like, so what I think isn't good enough. Like, you know, I've laughed in someone's face before by mistake because they asked me for my autograph and I was like, clearly you don't need, like, that's dumb. Like, but I didn't, they were like these little girls and I felt terrible after because I realized, oh, fuck, they're serious. Like, they really, and they just kind of looked at me like, oh, like, did we overstep or like we shouldn't have said that? And I'm like, oh my God, no, it's fine, you know, like, but it just didn't occur to me that anyone would want my autograph.
I've done that too. Like, I've done that too.
Or just people online sometimes. Can you send me, you know, a headshot with something signed and a little note?
Yeah.
Like, we've talked about this, I think, Yelpy. And I'm like, oh, wait, what? Oh, you're serious? Oh, okay. And it just, it's like this weird thing that I don't see coming.
I still don't understand. Like, I just resigned myself to, I don't understand why people want those things, but I just do it.
Yeah, I just do it. But my first reaction is to think it's a joke. So it's like for me to get over that thing and realize, like, you know, that they are entitled to their opinion about whatever. And it's not fair for me to, like, laugh at them for it. Like, it's, you know what I mean? It's just a little, it's not as gracious to be, it lacks gratitude because I'm so stuck in my own, like, inability to accept it that it's making them feel bad now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's what I started doing. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that I learned with gratitude also is like what Yelpy is saying. Like in the Irish culture, you know, after a show, I used to be like, oh no, but you know, like I didn't hit those notes, or I didn't really deliver this line, or like I missed this whole section up, and people were like, they don't want to hear, like, they didn't want to hear that shit. They didn't notice, they didn't care, and now one of my professors told me you're devaluing their experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, like you are telling them like they don't know what they're talking about.
Exactly.
In a certain way by them giving you a compliment and you devaluing it and telling them no, that wasn't what you thought it was. And so that's why and after I talked to him about that, I thought about it, and then so I was like, thank you. But then I felt like such an asshole, like, because it was like, thank you very much, thank you for coming. And then by the 15th or 20th person, I've said this thing over and over and over again, I felt like an automatron. But the link between those was gratitude. It was, I honestly thank you for coming. And I thank you for telling me that. That's cool. So, you know, how was your day? What did you do? Blah, 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 blah. And I say thank you, and I change the subject for myself because I do have, I can't be flowered with compliments without feeling super awkward. And so my way of handling that now is with gratitude, but then also, you know, it's most of the time those people coming up to me, I usually know them or I don't know them. And if I don't know them, oh, thank you very much. So I'm glad you enjoyed the show. You know, what's your name? Blah, blah, blah. You know, trying to change the conversation from what it is, because it takes a lot for somebody to go up and compliment somebody. I don't know how often you guys do it, but after a show, it takes a good show for me to go up to somebody after the show and be like, yo, that shit was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it was amazing. And and to do that, I really, truly mean it. I feel like, like it takes that much for me to go up to somebody and really, really tell them how I felt about the performance, especially when it's really good. Then I feel like those people feel the same way, and they should be treated that way. And you should, if somebody comes up to you, you should take the time out to really talk to that person if they made the choice to come up and say something to you. Now, if you're like at a party and you just happen to bump into somebody and they're like, "Oh man, good show," then that's something totally different. That's I feel obligated to tell you good show because now you're standing next to me.
That's actually something I was going to talk about next, Lloyd, was have you ever been in the position where you're that guy who's at a party and you just watched a show or something, and let's say you didn't think it was a good show? Do you still feel obligated to say, like, hey, good show? Like, do you do that, or do you just not say anything?
It wasn't a good show?
Or do you not say anything? Yeah.
No, I do, because even if you didn't like it, they still did it, and they still deserve. Like, I'm not gonna say it was amazing, but I say, man, good job. Like, that's literally all I say.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
because they did it. I mean, just the fact that they did it is enough to say good job.
Yeah. And what do you say?
Yeah. Although I would say this, I have been to shows where the music or the show or the whatever it was not my favorite, or was not my style, or was not something I would normally have liked. That has no bearing on what type of job they did.
Yeah.
So yes, good show. Now, I will give an example. I went to the Mint to go see a friend, and I can't remember the name of the band, but I would say their name out loud. It was a girl, and it was fucking terrible. I mean, it was so bad, I had to walk outside. And I don't know how she got on the Mint stage, but it was so bad. And I ran into her later because she was with the friends I went to go see.
Oh, God.
I didn't say shit to her. Like, I wasn't like, good show, yada, yada. I even talked to her, but like, I could not bring myself, because it wasn't the fact that I wasn't artistically connected with it. It was the fact that it was bad.
Yeah.
Like,
but that's what I'm talking about. Like, what do you do when you think it's bad?
Nah, if it's bad, if it's bad,
yeah.
Nah, I'm good. I'm not gonna tell you good show. I'm not. I mean, I don't want to disrespect you in that way. I'm not gonna lie to your face.
I say good job. I never say good show. Like, even if it was bad, I say good job. And the reason I say good job is because even if I hated it, like, they went up there and did it. Like, so fair enough to them. Even if you're shit, I actually have a bit of respect for people who are complete shit and still do it.
Good job. I like that. Good job. Like, good job for even getting up there and attempting to do what you did, Yelpy. I'm going to use that one. You're right. That's a good one. Because there's a difference between good show and good job.
I would never say good show. I would never say that.
No, yeah. Good job. way to do that thing you did.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Kyle, way to do that thing you did.
Kyle, what do you think?
I think that I'm also going to steal that from Yelpy, and if I ever see you after a show and tell you good job, I'm going to come up with something better.
I know people have done it to me, and I have no problem.
I'm sure.
I've gotten it. I've gotten that before.
So, but I'm with Yelpy.
Shoulder punch.
It takes a certain amount of, it takes a lot of balls to get up in front of people and, just do your thing. And I'm also with Lloyd, maybe that thing, isn't my thing, but there's also some kind of craftsmanship that you can tell, you practiced, or, you came, as prepared as you could, or, you're in it, you're just living it, something about it. But if it's none of those things, then, yeah, good job. You got it. You got up there.
Good way to do that. Give a shoulder punch. Way to get up there
hey,
and
buddy.
do that thing you did. Because that thing you did was the thing.
I go straight to how do you feel?
How did you feel about that?
That engages them. I don't want to engage.
Well, like if you're, but you, okay, this is why I say that because I'm playing off the role of like, this is someone that you have to interact with, like Lloyd's situation where it's a girl that's hanging with his friends now.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
like they're mingling with you, right? So
Yes.
I usually end up going like, well, what do you think? How do you think it went? How do you feel? And then like,
Damn.
I just have a conversation about that.
That's when you know it wasn't that good. Like, what do you mean? How would I think?
Wait,
Fuck
but
you.
No,
But
it works. It works.
down this line of thinking, you say, "What do you think?" And they say, "Oh, you know, it was kind of like meh." Then what do you
What's your
say?
next response?
Yeah. Then what do you say?
Usually they think they're great. I'm gonna tell you the people that are that bad, Lloyd, don't know it.
Yeah.
That's why they're up
this
there.
This girl thought she was excellent, and you can tell that I don't know, man. Somebody had a lot of money and told her that she was really good and was able, and some pull, and got her on stage, and it was
Exactly. So
it was horrible. Like
so-
everybody in the mint
That
left.
sucks.
Like,
So there's that.
people were in the mint, and we were all standing outside laughing. It was like, yo,
that's so
how the
sad.
fuck did she get on stage?
Oh.
I
So
wish you
that-
guys could have
yeah.
been there because I sound mean, but I guarantee you, every single one of you guys would have walked outside and not have stayed inside that place. Guarantee it.
I get it. But like those are the people that think they're good, right? So they're gonna be like,
she thought
I
she
felt
was-
good,
she thought
and
she
we'd be
was-
like, well then great, and then we move on.
Yeah.
But the people
Thought
that
her show was great.
if that does happen though, Kyle, if there is someone that's like, oh, this or that or the other, I usually just dive into like, you know what, I've been there, like as a performer, like I usually just end up having a conversation that has nothing to do with like what I thought of their performance. It's usually just like me relating to the situation because most likely I've been there at some point. So I feel like
Yeah.
I just kind of move on to like, you know what, don't worry, like you got up there, you did it. I've been in that situation where I thought this or that and I felt that way, and you know what, next time's going to be better. And like, you know, like I don't,
Yeah, you
it's
just
not
gotta keep
about
working
me.
towards it.
It's just about
Yeah.
like, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, how do you think it went? Like, it's really about the artist anyway. Like, who gives a fuck what I think?
Yeah.
Do you guys? One thing I've noticed here. Well, I played a lot of gigs here, and one thing I've noticed in LA specifically, people, if I'm playing a show and there's like say 2 or 3 other people playing, they tend to come in, they play and go and leave, and they don't, right? And I
Respectful.
personally, and they don't really talk. But I'm from like there's a certain what's the word
Band etiquette.
Etiquette, yeah.
Etiquette.
There's a certain etiquette from where I'm from, where you need to be right there at the start from when the first guy plays, right to the end, to the last guy, and then you need to talk to the other people. And I do that, and I find sometimes I'm a bit weird. I feel a bit weird. I feel a bit weird when I go up to the band.
It's not you.
Just say if I go on last, and then I go to the other band that only showed up and then kind of went outside or whatever. I try and find them and I go, hey, good job, you know, whatever. And but it feels really weird for me to do that here. Whereas when I'm used to is people are like, oh, thank you, and they're like, oh, you were great, and then we all have a big conversation, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, welcome to
Hollywood.
Los Angeles, the place of lacking gratitude. Completely and self-importance.
Yeah.
Do you guys find that as well, or is this just music?
Yeah.
Yeah, I notice it. Yeah. It's been a while since I've performed on a Hollywood stage, but then you're on stage with your cast already, so it's a little bit different.
But you know what I kind of like about it though is the people that you do find that are those like people that like stick around and like watch what you and like go up to you. It's like, oh, you're my people. Like, oh, okay. Like, hey, like you're just inspiring me. Like, yeah, like we're all in this together and we're a community and like, yeah, cool. Thanks. So it can be
in a city.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, in a city this large, that is the most important, finding your people, because not everybody's going to be your people. So
Do you know
you're
what's
100%
really
right,
uncomfortable?
Kyle.
Do you know what I find very uncomfortable, right? So I do that. I try and find the artist and congratulate them or say good job or whatever it is. But I do find, and I found this a lot, if it's a female artist and I go up to them and I go, they give me the weirdest look and the weirdest vibe, and it's very uncomfortable. And I almost feel like I shouldn't do it. It's really uncomfortable. They look at me like, I don't know what it is. I can't even explain it. It's like, what are you doing talking to me? That kind of thing. And I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry I even said this. Like, so I don't even know what it is.
It might be
really
a protection thing, Yelpy. Like sometimes you just are in certain
Yeah.
situations as a female that like you think people are being genuine and they're kind of not. So like you just keep getting burned over and over again. So that could be what it is, like
Yeah.
of just like putting out that vibe of like I'm a professional, like I'm just here to do my thing, like please don't hit on me. Like
Like, I'm not even lingering for.
no,
like, I
and you're
literally say what I
Yelpy, you're a
say,
good
like,
guy. Like you are. You're a good dude. And there are good dudes out there. There are plenty of good dudes out there. So like so yeah, it's just that might be that person's personal thing. But yeah, there are plenty of people like men like can go up to female artists and like still respect you on an artist level. Like it doesn't have to be all sexual. So keep being a nice guy, dude. Just keep being a nice guy. Like don't let that deter you. Like just
But it's true, like, as a woman, Kyle, I'm sure you've run into this too, where, like, we get approached a lot in this weird way that you just don't have time to bother figuring out if it's real or not because you've got to do your thing, like, get on stage or whatever. Like, it's a big thing that happens in, like, the audition room as well, like, as an actor, where there's always that chatty guy that you're like, shut up. Like, I'm trying to prepare. And I'm not saying this is you, Yelpy, at all. I'm just saying that because this happens so much in Hollywood, people might just have their guard up against that interaction. And unfortunately, like, it's just people with their guard up because you learn
very
to
uncomfortable.
you learn to put a guard up after a while. You're like, I don't have time for this all the time. Like, being out in the world, like, just trying to do your thing.
I just would have thought, like, I just would have thought, if you're an artist and another artist comes up with me, that's the time when you make that exception. Because it's not like they're going to be having artists coming up to them all the time. I mean, how many fucking gigs are they playing, right? They're going to have 2 artists in a night maybe come up to them. They should be used to that. So I don't understand why they would have their guard up in that scenario. I understand if you have your guard up, you're in a pub, you're with your friends, and some stranger comes up to you. That makes perfect sense. But an artist gets down off the stage after having playing a set and actually commends you for your set, and you look at them like, what are you doing fucking talking? That is the weirdest thing.
Yeah, that's weird. It is weird.
Yeah, that's...
I don't know.
It's weird.
Just Holly weird is all I can say about that. Holly weird.
What was the last good documentary everybody watched?
I haven't watched one in so long. I don't know.
Does Animal Planet count? Or not Animal Planet, but Planet Earth count?
Sure.
I guess it's narrated, right?
I just watched this one not too long ago. It's about bare knuckle fighting in England on Netflix. It was pretty good. It was decent. It was really good.
Was it like the Pikeys?
I'm on my way to London. Huh?
When?
Was it like the Pikeys?
No. It wasn't like the Pikeys. It was I forget the name of it, but it was really good. I mean, it was just about bare knuckle fighting and these guys following. It was about that one, that one dude who used to be like the number one enforcer in England. He started a bare knuckle. He wants to take bare knuckle fighting to the world, and so he's been running these bare knuckle fighting rings around England. And it's just interesting the mentality of people. And I'm not a very violent person, so to see people with such violent mentality is a very interesting thing for me. Yeah. And the violence doesn't come out of anger. A lot of times it's just a natural state. They're just violent people and they love the blood and they love the violence, and it really helps calm them down.
It's like Fight Club.
Yeah, like Fight Club. That's basically what it was based off of.
Yeah.
I mean, Fight Club, meaning Fight Club is based off of Fight Clubs, which is the title of the movie.
Right.
Well, that's what you mean.
I'm looking up a title right now. But... go ahead.
I just watched a documentary on Sister Rosetta Tharpe. Do you guys know her? Have you guys ever heard of her? Dude, this woman was fucking amazing. She was in the 1940s. She was like this blues gospel singer, but she played a steel guitar. This was before women like fucking played guitar.
Who's this?
What's her
Sister Rosetta Tharpe. Like,
Oh yeah. I know who that is.
she fucking wails, and her voice is so good, and she like shreds on the guitar, and like I just find it so like nerdily interesting that like didn't have like amps or distortion back then, like, but she figured out a way to like create that sound through just like a steel guitar. She was like a fucking innovator. And like, I just never like, I can't believe I've spent this many years like not listening to this wonderful music. I mean, she was such a badass. She was just a fucking badass, man. So good documentary.
If I'm thinking of the right person, I posted a video of hers a while back on Facebook, and I was so sad that no one like cared about it because it was such a cool clip of her playing.
Was it her on a train station?
Maybe. It's been a while since I've watched it.
That's a super famous clip, and it's so like it's a great depiction of like her abilities. She was just so good.
I would have to look it up again, but I was like, no one liked this. Why? This thing is amazing. Anyway, I found the one I was going to talk about, which I didn't watch recently, but it sticks out in my mind because it's so interesting, and it's called. It's probably still on Netflix. But it's called The Dropbox, and I don't know if you guys have watched it, but it's about this, I think he's a Korean man, Korean guy. He's a pastor who allows people to leave babies in a box at his doorstep, basically, and he will take them in no matter what. And most of them are, or often they are, like, with some sort of disability, or it's just such a beautiful thing that he does. And there's a lot of, similar to that thing in China where a lot of the girls are unwanted and people with disabilities are thought of as completely unwanted. And so he just takes everybody in and either keeps them. He has all these children that he's kept, just raised them as his own, like 8 to 12 like kids. If he can't find them a home, like if someone doesn't take them, he keeps them. It's just beautiful. It's a really awesome thing. And his son, they reveal that his son, too, has a disability, that he takes care of him as well. And it's just such a gracious, like, heartwarming and sad thing to watch. But it's just...
That's crazy.
Human spirit, you know. It's pretty cool. It's pretty touching.
Yelpy watched a documentary on Yelpy. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was heartwarming, made me cry.
Good job.
No, I think the only documentary I remember that was really good was about neoconservatives and their influence on, presidents and stuff like that. And it was especially around the Clinton administration when they were trying to discredit Clinton and all the stuff that they were doing. I loved that. And actually, that was a BBC documentary, and it was actually taken down off the interwebs.
Really?
Interesting.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, no, it was really good.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Good job, guys. You guys, good job.
Good job,
Way to
guys.
do that thing you did.
You did.
How did you feel about it, though? How'd you feel?
How'd you feel? I don't know. I felt like, honestly, like, I was a little off. What do you think? Did you see it? Did you notice?
No.
Nope.
I was too focused
You
on
did
myself.
exactly as I expected you to do.
Yes.
Hey, Lloyd.
Yeah.
Good job, man.
Thank you so much for listening from all of us here at Permission to Play podcast. We hope you invite a little more creative space and permission into your day. We'd love to hear what you think by leaving us a review on iTunes. Please subscribe and share, and you can also find all of us on social media. Till next time, and don't forget to play.